Good morning, champions. Coach Tina here. Woohoo! Oh my goodness, you guys. Here we are, past the middle of April. I have a question for you. And that is, have you ever heard that time is a construct? What does that even mean? It means time is what we make it. It's like a structure that we came up with, and it's maybe not even real. What? I just say that because number one, time is moving so quickly. I know you guys feel it. Everybody talks about it. We're in April, middle of the fourth month of 2026. It just seems like yesterday that it was January and we were talking about what we were going to do this year. And so if you're feeling that, I'm with you. I am feeling it too. And I feel for you as we go through it because it goes quick and we have to make the most of it. So we are in the middle of a 4-week series on the last week, which is called WOW. WOW stands for my mantras for the year, which is wild, open, and worthy. And for the last couple of weeks, we have been going over each of the letters of the acronym. So today we are on the final W. And as I said, it stands for worthy. So we're going to talk about not just the concept of worthy, but about the reality of being worthy today. And so I hope it's going to be a good topic for us. If you're watching live, please go ahead and comment in the comments. If you are watching us later on the replay, put hashtag replay so that I get notified that you watched. And maybe I'll send you a message and say hi and see how it fit with you. Either way, happy to have you guys here. I'm not seeing my comments today, and my phone died right before we started to come on. I got in last night really late. Not actually, it wasn't late. I was exhausted though. I got in around 7. It felt like midnight and a half, which in Africa time pretty much was. I had stayed up all night long, right? According to the new 2-week standard that I had set. And so pretty much as soon as I got home, I went to sleep. And I was surprised. I woke up about 3 o'clock, looked at my clock and thought, I'll just stay in bed a little bit longer. And I didn't go back to sleep. I just kind of laid there. And before I knew it, it was 5. So maybe I dozed off a little bit, but most of it was just thinking about the trip, thinking about the lessons that I learned, the experiences I had, the people that I met, and adjusting to the timing, right? So getting up at about 5 and just getting to see Chris again and just leaning into life. Anytime you come back from a trip, it's kind of a trip anyway. A 2-week trip, it's really a lot. And it was a great trip. We got there on April the 8th, got in around, ironically, it was probably was about 11 o'clock. I ended up waiting for one of the people that was going to be there. And we took a Uber in together to the airport. So that worked out really well. We got there, got up in the morning at ungodly time, like 4 o'clock. We had to be at the buses, and then we take a bus ride to the school itself. Got to see the campus, got to figure out how our systems were going to work, and had training and tour the campus. And I had been there before. So it was really just getting reacquainted, re-seeing the things that were there before. And then we had a new dormitory situation. And so I had a new lay of the land, if you will, but really nice setup. And we got up early in the morning. The kids came maybe like 10 o'clock. They had taken their own buses. So we got to have tea time with them, and then some outdoor activities before we had lunch. So we had 2 buses of kids come, and some kids that came from another country. So they came from Uganda as well as the Nairobi, Kenya area. And we had about 80 kids total. It was great. A few kids, maybe like 8 or 9 from the year before. One of the conditions of entry was if you came from last year, you had to have done a project. You had to have worked on, basically taken action on the stuff that we did the first year. And so we had that fun group of kids. They wore a different color than the others. So we got to visually, we could tell that they had done the work. And then each of the teams had a mentor, someone 18, close to 18, that had or hadn't been to an event before. And my guy had been. Interesting fun fact, I had offered Ben and Kendi, the husband and wife that run the program, a UPW ticket. They had only ever served at Gills and hadn't gone to UPW. And the ticket that I had was expiring this year. I had tried to give it to them in October last year, but they were having a baby. And then for this one, they just were like, we're not going to be able to make it. But they gave it to a young man. They told me that he would have some friends and they would enjoy it. And so other than just giving up my ticket, I said, sure, that'll be great. So it turns out it was my mentor that got to do that. So I got to see the benefits of the young man just turning 18. He's got a business he's planning on working on. And just, it was so beautiful to hear what these kids have put together. So really, really loved the process. And in addition to the young mentor, I had another woman from a organization that was, she was older, probably maybe just a little bit younger than me. And so she was also very helpful in taking care of the kids. And so we were a mighty team. In fact, we were the White Tiger team. Kids named themselves and they would sing the song, we are the Tigers, mighty, mighty Tigers. So it's running through my head. And so we did that all the 4 days that we were together, running from event to event, session to session, dancing together, doing great things together. There's a lot of content that's heartfelt. One of the things we did was we broke a board, and the boards this year were handmade. They actually felled a tree on the campus. And when we saw them, they were, no lie, an inch thick. Hardwood, a little bit terrifying for even us as mentors on the first day. We were like, how are we going to be able to do this? I was happy to say that I got through my board. It was amazing. And the kids did too when it was their time. So lots of growth in just overcoming things. You see an obstacle, you think there's no way. And then you do it and you're just so amazed at yourself. I mean, I was amazed at the young kids. It was a good experience with the boards. And then we did lots of team building type concepts, games. The kids did a fun one where they had to take the 10 kids on the team, and they had one of them at the end of a line and one at the other. And they had a bowl of flour. And each person on the team standing in a line had a playing card, only the playing card, and no hands. They had to scoop out of the main bowl and then pass it to everybody on their team. And the last person in line would put it into the bowl. So however much survived all the way through the line of the 8 kids, it was so amazing to watch them. They were powerhouses at it. They also felt like they had lungs that full of flour by the time it was over. They were huffing and puffing, and the flour was flying everywhere if they laughed, and their faces were covered. It was really fun. So we did that. There was also obstacle races they run, and lots of good stuff. What else did they do? I got to speak on stage. So the day 4, I finished it up by teaching RPM, which was well received. It was all about the kids' projects and wanting to see them be successful. We did something that I did last year on a small scale, which was in their name tags. I had them fold up. I had them do an RPM on their on an index card and then fold it up and put it in their name tag, so that as we walked around, I could see what their project was for going forward. So that was really cool. And I taught a couple of classes. So we did finance classes, learned a lot about the kids. I learned a lot about myself as I was teaching them too, and just how in a new country and everything's so different, and like their viewpoint of money and how they look at things is so different. And so we had some beautiful times together, lots of tears, lots of dancing, lots of crying. Um, we had our review sessions in the evening, the debriefs is what we call them. And the girls shared such beautiful young minds, so many insights and just tweaks in their life where they were going to take this information, what they were going to do with this information to change was beautiful. So loved it. One of the closing exercises we had was they set up the event area with tables, and they put a piece of paper on everybody's on all the tables with everybody's name on it, and you just walked around and you wrote a note, kind of like a yearbook signing. But at the end, they had this beautiful moment where everybody got to go retrieve their paper and go sit. We all sat together kind of near the stage and read what people had to say about us. It was so touching. And then a few people shared the thing on their sheet that just really stood out to them and made them feel special and unique and worthy, right? It was so amazing. I've always loved working with teens because I believe I have a lot of healing that needed to be done as a teenager. So when I help the teens, that is big healing happens in my own psyche, but I know that it's helping them because I know that I'm giving them what I needed when I was a teenager that I didn't get. And so um, I loved the feeling of just being me, because I didn't have to show off. I didn't have to be anything extra. These kids were willing to just accept me the way I am, and I was willing to accept them the way that they are. And we just existed together. And it was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience. I wasn't sure how year 2 was going to be. Year 1 was so good. I kind of wanted just to cement that memory in and not push to the second year because I was afraid, like, what if it didn't turn out as well? Or what if this happened? Or what if that? Especially, I didn't get Chris to go on this trip with me. So I was missing my significant other, but it worked out, and it worked out really well. And I do believe we had a huge impact on the kids and on the future. One of the last things we did, which was really special, was we took the time to stop the buses with all the kids going back and with us. And they had set it up so they had an area where they wanted to plant. And they had taken, they're getting ready to build some new dorms, so they needed to rebuild. There's actually a law in Africa that if you take down a tree, you have to plant 2 trees to replace it. And so 200 trees were being planted, and there was about 100 of us. And so they had dug the holes and put a little seedling next to each hole. And we came, everybody found 2 of them, took off the sheathing that was holding them, put them in the ground, moved the dirt back around them, and watered them. It was beautiful. And what a fantastic way to end the event, knowing that those trees, that area is going to be named Tabiti, which is the name of our event, Forest. And so I just thought that was a really special way for us to bring together, not just this year, but last year, and just commemorate the event. And what happened to our hearts is going to continue to expand over time. Those trees will continue to grow over time. And next year, that looks like we'll be even better positioned. The university, it's an academy for high schoolers, and then year 13 students is what they call it when they're like about to go to university. And very well respected, well-known location. They bring in students from all over the world, and the thought is that they are going to present us to their communities, that this event could be something that their students could attend. So we're looking forward to seeing how that is next year. It should give us more exposure, as well as even kids from further away than just the countries we were in. So very exciting to think about. Then we got back. So we went back to Nairobi a day early or than expected. And because we did that, we accelerated our safari to the next day. We had one member, Sue, that we loved, that was going away the next day. And so we thought, well, if we did the safari, Sue could go with us. And so we did the safari on the day that we were also exhausted after the event, but we wanted to go to the safari. So we got up we had to be downstairs at like 5:30. So we were powerhouses, you guys. And we did the safari. We got to go to this great elephant orphanage was what it was. And the memory will always be seared into my mind because it was so cool. 12 baby elephants came running towards where we were, and they had a little compounded area where they got their bottles, and we got to watch them feed. Some of them were old enough to like hold their bottle and feed themselves, but they all ran into their keeper, got their bottle, and most of them had two. And then they played in front of us, and we learned about their backgrounds. So fascinating. Elephants always have been a love of my heart. And then to get to see them and know, I mean, they came up to us, we got to pet them. It was kind of a surreal kind of thing, maybe 40, 50 people there. And they told stories that it takes them about 8 years before they get released back to the wild. And so they take them out. They have the nursery area where they, get older and stronger. And then when they take them, they'll take them on day trips, and they'll go play with the other elephants, and then they'll come back at night and spend the night with them. And then there were times where they were like, well, what needs to happen is those wild herds need to accept them in. And once that happens, then they'll stay with that herd. Well, several of the elephants that had been with that, so they grew up in the orphanage, go out with the wild herds. When there are droughts, or when like maybe some of them get pregnant, they come back to the orphanage for help. They bring their friends. In fact, one of the cute little elephants that was there had been brought to the orphanage as he was all alone and wasn't accepted into the herd. And so they brought him to the orphanage so that he could be raised by them. They said that the elephants just put him between him, and they walked him to the orphanage. Crazy is that? So beautiful stories. I cannot imagine that they have that kind of information as an animal species to remember where their nursery was, right? And to have those memories of, thank you for taking care of me. And I know that I can go to you and get the support that me and my family need to survive. Because during the droughts, they'll bring their whole herd for food and water. How crazy is that? So very, very good experience. After that, we thought, well, we'll just be able to sneak in the giraffe center. And so we went and fed giraffes and had a literally great time. We had a great lunch, and then went to a ceramic factory where the women workers were making ceramic necklaces and jewelry that we could purchase. They danced for us. We danced with them. Beautiful experience. And so the end of that day, we were all exhausted. We also had done all of the activities that we were planning to do for the 3 days that we were going to be together. So that meant that we had this kind of convoluted rest of the time together where we could figure out if we wanted to do more. We could, I think we had a whole day where we did just nothing. And then we started saying, what if we went here? What if we did there? And so one of the guys convinced us to go on a tour that was supposed to be an architectural history tour. Well, it wasn't. It was a tour, all right. It was a walking tour. And they took us down to like the financial district, showed us a couple of things. And then our guide was like, I want to show you something. And there was a road. And he was saying that we were in the uptown area, the financial district, but that he wanted to take us to downtown, which was literally across the street, which doesn't sound very crazy, right? We were like, okay. And he's like, I really want you to see what real life is like. So we crossed the street into another world altogether. 3 times as many people, traffic was intense, it was chaos, there was music, there were stores. totally different than when we crossed back over to the other side. And it was the calm, professional, two worlds defined by a street. How crazy is that? And then we went up in one of their tall buildings, got to see the whole city laid out, drove through the slums on the way back. Apparently the second largest slum area in Africa. We got to see miles and miles of just houses stacked on top of houses. And they're not really houses, they're just like little lean-tos with tin or cardboard around them. Pretty crazy to think about. We went out to the forest one day and had tea out in the beautiful countryside. The experiences seem very banal is the word that's coming up, just plain, not that wild. And yet what they did, it's funny, those are my words, right? Wild, open, and worthy. It opened me up to different experiences at a deeper level. So of course, while I've been to a forest before, it was like a national park, there was something about it that was calming to my system. It was, the beauty, the green everywhere. The fact that you could sit in kind of like a tree house and have a beautiful cup of tea. I want to make this live about growth and expansion and new identity. But the reality is it's kind of like that line between the old and the new, or the downtown and the uptown. It's a made up boundary. And while it felt really different on one side than the other side, it's kind of like you when you're becoming somebody different. It's right up against that boundary. And sometimes it's uncomfortable. And sometimes it's like wild and exciting. And sometimes it's chaos. And sometimes it's relax, take a breath. I can handle this energy, right? So when you go into this season of becoming, the most important thing is that you notice it, that you recognize it. Because I can't tell, sure, it was wild going to Africa, right? It was new frontier, new stuff, new experiences. Am I more open? Yes. My heart is bigger. No one on the outside can see that my heart got bigger. No one can understand how I felt in one of the exercises. The young girl and I embraced afterwards, and she cried in my arms for 15 minutes. It was just non-stop pain coming out, releasing from this young girl. My shirt was soaked when she finished, but she needed to let that out of her. It was a beautiful moment. And later that night, we had a dance party, and I saw her up on stage dancing with just this freedom and a relaxed demeanor that she hadn't had before. So she opened me up. I hope that whole experience opened her up to a different outcome, to a different way of life. I don't know what she was crying about, and it doesn't matter. She needed that. And I was there to receive it at that moment. It was beautiful. Which kind of takes me to the last item, the W, which is worthy. Do I feel worthy to have been in that environment for that long, doing, did I feel worthy that I could sit in my hotel room and not do anything for a day? To just eat the wonderful food and coffees and things that were prepared for us, and just allow it, just soak it up, just recognize that there's joy in all the little things and there's joy in the big things, and I get to have them all in this lifetime. I started this by telling you I woke up early this morning and just kind of laid there, and it was with such a grateful heart. It was with this great feeling of, wow, life is good. I'm so happy that I have this life. So what are we going to do next? What's the next step? What's the integration process, if you will? I had already kind of looked at the calendar before I left, and I was trying to figure out how I was going to do some stuff that I wanted to do. And what I decided I'm going to do is for the next, it's going to be a 5-day recharge event starting on the 22nd. So we have 2 days before we get started. But on the 22nd through Sunday, we will be going into a breathing recharge where daily breath work will get done. Come to one, come to all of them. I really am wanting to document the process, the system. I did a breath work while I was there for our coaches. And again, it was very well received. People love the work that I'm doing. And I love the work that I'm doing, which is even better, right? You got to love what you do. And I can't share enough about how this practice of breath work, it's so simple, but it's so life-changing. And what I want to do is get it out into the world. And that means I have to do my practice regularly, but I have to practice the practice. And so this 5 days is going to give me a good set of time to get a system down for how I believe the work should work so that it can be even more impactful to others. And so I would love to invite you to be a part of that with me. It's going to be called Take a Breath. You should get an email from me real soon about it. And we'll be talking about it in the event here. So I'm past my time. I guess time is of the essence, right? It's what we make it. It's just a construct. So would love to have you join us. If you're interested, put the take a breath into the comments below. We will get you that information. If you have anything to add about the experience I had opening you up to new experiences in the future, or even something you're going through now, put that in the comments. I always love insights from you. If there is something special you want to talk to me about, please don't hesitate to direct message me. And don't forget that as we get ready to close up April, that whatever your goals are for this month, don't let time evaporate. Get your stuff done, especially the stuff that matters, because you can do lots of things, but the impact that you're going to have in the future is the stuff that you do that lasts. And so you've got to do what matters. You got to do what feels right to your heart, so that at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the month, etc., you know in your heart of hearts that you are doing what you need to do to not only become the best version of you, but to live that life of your dreams that you so deserve, because you are worthy. I totally believe that. All right. I hope everybody has the best week possible. Talk to you soon.